So we understand the issues. Now, I say the court hereby ordered that an order of the interim injunction is hereby made or granted, restraining the first and second defendants. Now, the first and second defendants in this suit, myself and Minister Wike. So, restraining the first and second defendants, whether by themselves, their agents, associates, privies, representatives, or any person whatsoever acting at their behest, from conducting, convening, coordinating, engaging in, organizing, participating in, holding, hosting, or facilitating any political assembly, rally, meeting, or gathering within Bayelsa State for the purpose of solidarity, hosting, and celebrating the second defendant, Wike, in Bayelsa State. That is the order of court. Now, our rally is not for this purpose. Our rally, as we have said and made public, is for the purpose of inaugurating a group called and known as the New Associates, Bayelsa State Chapter. And then to thank and appreciate President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for appointing notable sons and daughters of Bayelsa State into positions of trust in the country. Right? That is the purpose. It is not the purpose that this court order captures. In fact, the purpose for which we want to hold our rallies is not captured in this order. So if you look at the order, gathering, meeting, holding, organizing, doing rally is not outlawed by this order. But don't do so for XYZ purpose. And we are not going to do any rally for the purposes that the court have listed. Those are not our purpose. We are going ahead. I've said so. The purpose for which this order is everywhere. You pick it up. The court, when you look, you read. You say, look, don't hold press conference in Cubana Hotel for the purpose of listening to Judge Turner. It doesn't stop practitioners from holding press conference in Cubana for the purpose of listening to Jeremiah. Right? So we are going ahead. Any day we see an order of court stopping us from holding rally for the purpose of appreciating and solidarizing with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and for the purpose of inaugurating the Bayelsa State chapter of the New Associates, we will know what to do. We will comply and follow the law. Right? But as of today, there is no order of court stopping the purpose for which our rally of 12th April is called.
All right, sir. For the purpose of this inauguration...
Let me say that we did not issue any notice for protest. We issued notice for solidarity rally. That is celebration. If there are other groups who want to join or want to hold their own rally, insofar as not protest, if they want to do their own rally to thank Gov Diri or thank any other person, we cannot collectively, be in one place and thank everybody we want to thank. Because it's celebration. But except people have ulterior motive, they should tell Nigerians. But if it is, come, let's celebrate like we have in our heart, and it is less celebrate that they have in their heart, one venue, the more the merrier, the better. All of us, we jubilate. It will increase the number even. We are thanking us, we are thanking President, we are thanking Diri, so we thank everybody, so there won't be problem. So we are not bothered with those. So far, they don't say protest. If they say rally, we are okay. But if it is protest, we can't have rally. We can't have rally and protest in the same place. Now on the whether the governor is aware of the purpose, we don't owe the governor And it's a private group. We don't owe him to begin to. We are not inviting him, so we don't need to inform him. Then finally, I am a member of the PDP. In fact, only today, you are aware that I am the zonal secretary of the party for South South. Only today, Federal High Court in Abuja, presided over by Justice Eko, have issued a restraining order, interim restraining order, restraining the PDP from interfering with my ESCO, led by Chief Dan Osiobe, from interfering with our activities and our functions. And the court also went on to restrain the illegal caretaker committee led by Emmanuel Ogidi, as constituted by the PDA, from functioning and from parading. So effectively, as I speak to you, standing my two legs on the law, zonal secretary of the PDP in the South. So I remain a member of the PDP, and I have not wavered. 2025, various media outlets published statements from His Excellency Distinguished Senator Gov Diri, the governor of Bayelsa State. In these statements, he accused me of colluding with His Excellency Chief Dr. E.N. Wike CON, Minister of the FCT and former Governor of Rivers State, to instigate insecurity in Bayelsa State in a bid to destabilize the state. In two separate broadcasts, while addressing the State Security Council and the Elders Council, the governor claimed that he encountered a Facebook report featuring my phone number, that suggested I will be hosting Minister Wike for a rally organized by the new associates in Yenagwa, the Bayelsa State capital. These claims, which were anchored on the Facebook report that Governor Diri did not bother to verify, are entirely false and represent the highest form of rumor mongering. It is particularly regrettable to hear this from someone occupying the esteemed office of a state governor. For clarification, at no time has our group, the New Associates, Bayelsa State Chapter, or any associated entity announced plans to host Minister Wike in Bayelsa State or any other location on the dates mentioned or at any other time. Stand to be corrected. For any minister of the Federal Republic to visit a state within the Federation, I believe that there must be some form of government-to-government communication, as well as full disclosure of such planned visits, at least to relevant security formations in the state intended for such visits. It is therefore surprising and shocking that His Excellency Governor Diri could rely on outright falsehood and an unverified Facebook post to set me up against the people of Bayelsa State and a John nation at large for hate and for kill. The level of incitement against my person by Governor Diri can be likened to, in the words of Governor Fubara of Rivers State, that when a man cocks a gun, and maybe because the gun is in safety and the bullets did not come out, the man has already killed you. Let it be known by all people of Bayelsa State, the John Nation, and indeed Nigeria, that on the 28th day of March 2025, His Excellency Senator Gov Diri, Governor of my dear state, pulled a dangerous trigger against me. But to the glory of God, I am alive today to tell this story as I'm about to do now, perhaps just because the gun was in safety. Many years ago, I was identified, groomed, and nurtured in politics by a distinguished Nigerian, a refined politician, and a complete Democrat, His Excellency Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan GCFR, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria from 2010 to 2015. Let me emphasize that I continue to appreciate the investment of President Jonathan in molding and shaping me into the grounded politician that I have become today. My gratitude to him and his entire household, particularly my mother and his dear wife, Dame Dr. Mrs. Patience Jonathan, is for life. It is my pledge that as I continue to navigate the murky waters of politics, I shall continue to be guided by the virtues of loyalty, humility, kindness, affection, dedication, commitment, trustworthiness, and self-discipline instilled in me by my mentor of all times and father, President Goodluck Jonathan. That being said, I am sure a lot of us here who watched the video of the attack on my person by Governor Diri would wonder what could have led to such a high level of blackmail or setup, as it were. Well, it is important that I state clearly that I have no personal fights or quarrels with His Excellency, distinguished Senator Gov Diri, the Governor of Bayelsa State. I have considered Senator Diri a close political senior friend for over a decade, and our relationship and our friendship has been very mutual, mutually beneficial. I recall when he ran for a House of Representatives seat in 2015, I helped facilitate some financial support for him and other political associates, as my friends. My loyalty and commitment to our friendship also led me to support him wholeheartedly in the governorship race in 2019 and during his pursuit for a second term in 2023. In the second election, I served as his agent for Ogbeya local government area, and the results demonstrated that I upheld the trust placed in me. Surprisingly, I have suddenly become one Judge Turner today in the mind of Senator Diri. Anyway, such is life. Since Senator Diri became governor, my personal relationship with him has been enlightening and rewarding. I am thankful for the experiences and lessons I have gained. It would be unfair to claim that his 5 years or more as governor have not personally benefited me. It is well known that during the first 4 years of his term, I was appointed his executive assistant on public affairs. However, I remained redundant and unproductive throughout the life of that appointment. I was later, at some point, elected as legal advisor of the South-South Zone of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Gentlemen, allow me to state that I have, since joining active and partisan politics, remained a committed and dedicated member of the PDP, and I have also done so much for the party within the limits of my abilities. I would recall that at a time when very senior and privileged members of the PDP were rather decamping to the now ruling All Progressive Congress for fear of the unknown shortly after we had lost the 2015 presidential elections, I, on my part, I put in my resignation from office, citing the need to participate actively in the enormous task of rebuilding the PDP. I am most certain that I am the only PDP member nationwide who willingly resigned from a good-paying job simply because we lost the presidential election and we needed to pave way for APC members to take over and implement their manifesto. I stand to be corrected anyway. This decision didn't go down well, and I want to believe that Nigerians already know the rest of the story. I was put through multiple criminal charges for which I went through prosecution and trial for over 8 years on a 23-count charge, one charge and another 4-count charge, and more, with all my assets and resources taken away from me till this day as I speak. Not even my family house in my village, as remote as it is, was spared. As we speak, these properties are in a terrible state and still in the custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, despite the order of court to release them. So I mean it when I say I have gone through a lot because of my loyalty and commitment to the People's Democratic Party, PDP. What is the issue at hand? My disagreement with Governor Diri primarily arises from my ideological differences and marginalization of my people of Kolo in Ogbeya Ward 9 of Bayelsa State. This neglect extends to both infrastructure development and political empowerment. Let's start with the latter. Politics is inherently local, and a good politician's success is measured by the democratic dividends they bring to their people, especially after receiving support and votes from such a people. Despite my loyalty and commitment and the backing of the people of Kolo and Ogbeya Ward 9 in Bayelsa State, Governor Diri's administration has systematically overlooked Kolo and Ogbeya Ward 9, neglecting any infrastructure development since its inception. This oversight persists despite my numerous attempts at lobbying, pleading, and even organizing legitimate in-house protests as a member of the Prosperity family. There hasn't been a state-approved project in my area in 5 years or more. No ongoing, abandoned, or completed capital project can be pointed to. Adding to my frustration, no Kolo or Ogbeya Ward 9 indigene holds significant political positions within the administration. Out of the hundreds of technical and special advisors to the governor, not one comes from my community or my ward, the Ogbeya Ward 9. We lack representation on any state government board, agency, commission, or parastatal, not even a member of the list board, while neighboring communities and political wards enjoy multiple political patronage. Appointments enjoy multiple appointments amongst other political patronage. For 5 years, I have struggled to improve the situation for my people, but to no avail. I find myself asking, what did we do wrong? Was supporting Governor Diri and his administration a mistake? I have grown weary and frustrated. What is the purpose of politics if I cannot positively impact my community, my people, and my immediate environment. It becomes obvious there was a deliberate plan or orchestration to destroy me politically and render me irrelevant or unimportant. For what purpose and to what end, I cannot tell. This is the primary reason I opted out of Governor Diri's political dynasty. Now, to the ideological differences I mentioned earlier. It is ultimately political in nature. It is important to say that my belief system and political philosophy informed my decision to support Senator Diri for governor in 2019. After President Muhammad Buhari's two-term tenure, I firmly believed that returning the presidency to the southern region of Nigeria was crucial for national unity and stability. Unfortunately, my governor, His Excellency Senator Diri, does not share this perspective. His political ideology supports keeping the presidency in the north even after Buhari's 8 years in office for very unclear reasons. Initially, I thought his motives stemmed from a desire for the People's Democratic Party to regain power, having lost the presidency to the All Progressive Congress in 2015, assuming that a northern candidate would facilitate this comeback. I later realized he had a private aspiration for the vice presidency. In Nigerian politics, expressing a differing opinion from your principal is risky, particularly when he or she is a governor. As many of you know, in preparation for the 2023 general elections, Southern governors convened in Asaba, Delta State, where they collectively decided that the presidency should return to the Southern region after President Buhari's 8-year reign. Following this decision, the South-South PDP conducted its executive committee meeting in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, a meeting attended by all our governors at the time. At this meeting, we endorsed the Southern Nigerian Governors Forum decision and encouraged those within presidential aspirations within our zone to pursue the party's nomination. That was how the Excellencies, Chief Dr. Nyesom Ezenwamwike CON, then Governor of Rivers State, and Deacon Gabriel Udom Emmanuel, then Governor of Akwa Ibom State, expressed their ambition to contest for the country's highest office and initiated their consultations and campaigns for the PDP presidential ticket. As customary, Governor Wike traveled to Bayelsa to confer with Governor Diri and the Bayelsa state delegates. He received an extravagant reception far exceeding what mere consultative visit warranted. It seemed evident that Governor Wike had won the support of Bayelsa state delegates, an impression reinforced by the warmer welcome he received compared to even that of His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Therefore, I was taken aback when at the presidential primaries in Abuja, Governor Diri instructed all Bayelsa state delegates to vote for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, a northern candidate, instead of supporting either of Wike or Udom Emmanuel, in line with the Asaba Declaration and the Uyo Resolution. Of course, everyone complied with his directive, and the outcome is now history. Somehow, Governor Wike learned of this betrayal from his Bayelsa neighbors during the primaries. Intrigued by the reasoning behind Governor Diri's instruction to back Atiku, despite the Southern governor's consensus in Asaba and the South-South PDP stance in Uyo, I gathered the courage to inform him that Governor Wike knew the Bayelsa delegates had not supported him and felt disappointed about it. My governor's response shocked me. He introduced ethnicity into the political conversation, stating that he wouldn't have supported Wike because Wike had insulted the Ijaw people with a thunder strike at a church event in Port Harcourt. I was surprised. When I told him about the dangers of intertwining ethnicity with politics, he questioned why he should support Wike, particularly since Wike had not consulted about his presidential ambitions. At that point, I reminded him that Governor Wike had visited him at the government house in Agua for consultation. He responded that Wike's visit was like those of other aspirants, but he believed Wike should have approached him privately to discuss his presidential ambitions even before stepping out. I sensed he had already decided to support a northern president in 2023. Shortly after Alhaji Atiku Abubakar secured the party's nomination, Governor Diri clandestinely started scheming to be selected as a running mate. This premature pursuit of the vice presidential role did cost Bayelsa taxpayers billions of naira. With nearly all the refunds from the federal government at the time wasted on chasing the PDP's vice presidential ticket. During this period, pastors in government house began prophesying Atiku Abubakar's presidency alongside Diri. Unfortunately, midway through this ambition, Governor Diri withdrew, backing the then Delta State Governor, Senator Ifeanyi Okowa, instead, due to the intense competition the vice presidential slot contest had generated. I had asked myself whether his preference and support for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar were out of genuine love for Atiku himself and the PDP. I was to later discover that he never visited Atiku, even on the day the Supreme Court gave a final judgment on Atiku's petition, but was rather amongst the early callers at the State House to congratulate President Tinubu, the holder of the Southern presidency mandate he neither believed in nor supported in the first place. When the general elections occurred, President Tinubu emerged victorious. Now, with the governor supporting a northern presidential candidate and me adhering to the decisions made by the Southern governors in Asaba and the South-South PDP caucus in Uyo, I faced significant challenges. I want everyone, especially Nigerians, to understand that my decision to support a Southern Nigerian president in 2023 marked the onset of my issues with Governor Diri. Those around the governor were well aware of my position, and I was quite clear that the PDP, with a northern presidential candidate and several unresolved internal conflicts, would struggle significantly. The governor and his key advisors fostered an unmistakable animosity towards me from the onset. Reflecting on Fayoshe's words, I felt the stench of betrayal. As a result, I lost both the governor's trust and influence. Frustration enveloped me as they sought to provoke and irritate me every day. Yet, they treaded carefully, aware of my importance in securing his re-election in 2023. I was barely being managed. They recognized that losing my support before the elections might lead to ruin. Now, since the 2023 general elections, the governor's disdain for me grew to the point where I was barred from contesting the PDP primary elections for the Ogbeya Constituency 3 in the Bayelsa State House of Assembly. He used my conviction by the Federal High Court in a case initiated by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to justify this move, raising, of course, the question of why he chose to act so close to the elections on the eve of the primaries. Was when I was called and asked to step aside from the primaries, even especially since I was already appealing the judgment in the Port Harcourt Division of the Court of Appeal. Nevertheless, that is behind me now. Fast forward to the campaign for his second term. He recognized that winning re-election would be nearly impossible due to his dismal performance in his first term, particularly regarding human capital development, infrastructure, and economic diversification. Our biggest achievement, which all of you will know, to present to the people of Bayelsa State after 4 years was peace and security, which of course are intangible. To navigate these challenges, we needed to forge alliances. We strategically allied with a faction of the All Progressive Congress in Bayelsa State, enabling us to gain the support of influential leaders, including the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum, Oil, Senator Heineken Lokobri, a former governorship candidate of the APC in Bayelsa State, Chief David Leon, and several others were among those involved in this political alliance. It has become widely known that Minister Heineken and Chief David Lyon did urge Governor Diri to reconcile with Minister Nyesom Wike to secure an essential support for that election. However, this raises questions about hypocrisy at the highest level, of course. Governor Diri now acknowledges that Minister Wike is not from Bayelsa State, yet sought his backing for his personal ambition to lead Bayelsa, a state to which Wike does not belong or come from. Today, Governor Diri is recognized as the first Nigerian to infuse ethnicity into politics. He asserts that Minister Wike cannot visit Bayelsa, the heart of the Ijaw nation, simply because he believes that Wike has insulted the Ijaw people. However, if ethnicity now shapes politics, why did he approach Wike for support instead of approaching the president of the Ijaw National Congress, INC, who could have easily rallied the Ijaw votes for a second term for him? Governor Diri chose to secure Wike's support and help over that of Professor Benjamin Okaba, the INC president, because he understood it was about political maneuvering and not ethnicity. Regrettably, today, we have a governor who has tarnished the identity of the Ijaw nation by engaging in ethnic bigotry and dragging an entire ethnic group into political disputes. If we examine the actions of both Wike and Diri, who has truly insulted the Ijaw nation? It seems that Governor Diri is the one guilty of the very accusations he levies at Wike. Diri condemns Wike for suggesting that Ijaws are a minority, a statement made during a recent media interaction discussing the role of the Ijaw National Congress and Ijaw leaders in the political turmoil in Rivers State. Gentlemen of the press, can someone explain how expressing a personal opinion translates into an insult? Minister Wike is entitled to his views, whether right or wrong. He did not resort to abusive or derogatory language regarding the Ijaw people. He simply voiced his thoughts, which can be broken down into 4 areas as follows. First, Wike asserted that Asawana will disappear once the law speaks. Secondly, he claimed that the Ijaws do not form or constitute a majority in the Niger Delta. Thirdly, he said in states like Rivers, Edo, Akwa Ibom, and Ondo, where Ijaws reside, they are regarded as minority among minorities. He continued that they cannot elect a governor independently except in Bayelsa. Lastly, he noted that in Delta State, the home of our revered esteemed leader, Chief Dr. E.K. Clark, a governor was not produced during the lifetime of E.K. Clark. And let me emphasize that Wike made this observation respectfully when he clearly stated, with all due respect. Now, let's analyze Wike's statements to uncover the supposed insults against the Ijaw nation, which Governor Diri and the INC president have now exaggerated in their political discourse. First, the lack of protests from Ijaw youth against Governor Fubara's removal suggests that Wike's assertion that Asawana will disappear when the law speaks is accurate, as evidenced in today's Rivers State. Thus, Wike's perspective holds merit. Not even in Opobo, where Governor Fubara comes from, did we witness any form of protest by any Ijaw youth to suggest any kind of form of anger over the removal of Governor Fubara from office. In fact, Governor Fubara has been abandoned to his fate. If I may ask, those who gathered daily in rallies in Government House Port Harcourt shouting Asawana, Asawana, and geared up Governor Fubara for war against his benefactor and political godfather, where have they been since his suspension from office? I have not had any Asawana, neither have I seen any gathering. It is a sad tale and very unfortunate that a simple political misunderstanding between a godfather and a godson was completely hijacked by Professor Okaba's INC and given an ethnic coloration. The moment the crisis started and the State Assembly complex burnt down in Port Harcourt, Professor Okaba and his team were already marching like secondary school children on the streets of Port Harcourt the very next day. They reduced the entire Ijaw nation to nothing and caused us mockery. Is it not instructive to note that the Obako Ikwere Cultural Organization has not uttered a word during this political crisis in Rivers State? This is so because the leaders of that revered organization understood that what was playing out in Rivers State was politics and not ethnic misunderstandings. Let me clearly state here that the Ijaw nation should hold Governor Diri and Professor Benjamin Okaba responsible for whatever has become the fate or has happened to Governor Fubara. Clearly, they failed in their respective roles as leaders of a Ijaw nation. Secondly, while it is widely accepted that the Ijaw people are among Nigeria's 4 largest ethnic groups and predominant group in the Niger Delta, it is crucial to consider the context in which Wike made his comments about Ijaws being minorities. His use of the word constitute implies that in a comparative analysis of all ethnic groups, the Jaws do not hold a majority when you put the rest of the remaining groups together. I take pride in being a Jaw. I am a proud Ijaw man. Still, the undeniable truth is that when you have a collective assessment of the population of the Niger Delta ethnic groups, the Jaws do not represent a majority when the Jaws do not constitute a majority when the rest of the remaining ethnic groups are collectively put together. In fact, are collectively put together, even though we are, and in fact, the single biggest and largest ethnic group in the Niger Delta region. Ijaw is the biggest and the largest, most populous single ethnic group in the Niger Delta. But when you put the rest of the ethnic groups together, on one hand, the Jaws do not constitute the majority. This signifies that we must collaborate with other ethnic groups in the region to achieve success, especially electoral success. This was the fundamental message Minister Nwike tried to convey. Sadly, both the political leadership of the Jaw people, represented by the Bayelsa State Governor, often referred to as the Governor General of Ijaw Nation, and the cultural leadership embodied by the President of the INC, misinterpreted Nwike's comments, infusing them with an ethnic bias and misleadingly suggesting that he had insulted the Jaws. Where is the insult, I ask? Is Nwike not entitled to his opinion, whether right or wrong? He stated that in all the states where Ijaws reside, they are minorities and cannot independently elect a governor, except in Bayelsa State. Isn't it evident that the Ijaws alone in Rivers, Delta, Akwa Ibom, Edo, Ondo, etc. cannot elect a governor without political collaboration with others? What is insulting about stating a factual, observable reality? Minister Nwike was talking about electoral or voter population, not landmass or waterways or census population figures. Come to think of it, in the 2015 presidential election, the votes won by President Jonathan in Obiakpo alone, the home local government of Mr. Nwike, just one local government of the Queries, was almost 2 times bigger than the entire votes won in the whole of Bayelsa State. This is reality. To produce a governor, you require 51% of the voter population. In Rivers State, for instance, the cumulative voter population of the Jaws is 17.5%. How possible is it that we can produce a governor independently without collaboration in Rivers State, for instance? Now, as it is in Rivers, so it is in the rest of the locations where Ijaws found themselves. Ijaw Nation should be grateful to those of us who have placed ourselves above ethnic considerations in our political alliances and followership. But for us, I can bet you that our political reputation would have been badly damaged, and very likely that trusting an Ijaw man with political leadership would have been a big deal going forward. In this regard, I would like to commend and appreciate notable Ijaw leaders in Rivers State for standing out and distinguishing themselves from those who stink in ethnic bigotry. Our father, Chief Ferdinand Labraba, distinguished Senator George Thompson Sekibo, Honorable Boma Iyayi, the Honorable Alabo George Kelly, the Honorable Flag Ojukai Amakre, the Honorable Professor Henry Ogiri, leader of the Bayelsa State, leader of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Honorable Major Jack, and all members of Ijaw extraction in that assembly, among several others. I salute you all this day. And on behalf of our people, I say thank you. Now, on the alleged insult on our late sage, Pa Ike Clark, and with due respect, while Minister Nwike can take pride in producing an Ijaw man as governor of Rivers State, the truth remains that among the many achievements of our late leader and father, producing an Ijaw governor in Delta State is not one of them. This is a fact. The term Ijaw means truth, and I am perplexed as to how Nwike's truth can be construed as an insult to the Ijaw people or a slight against our late father, Pa Edwin Clark. It could be observed that before Nwike spoke about Pa Clark, he said, with all due respect. And I think that was the right thing to do. To say that Minister Nwike cannot even mention Pa Clark's name would be obviously overrating. Gentlemen, I ask again, where is Nwike's insult directed at the Ijaw nation? On what grounds did Governor Diri and Professor Okaba unilaterally declare Minister Nwike persona non grata in Ijaw land? This politicization of ethnicity by stoking ethnic sentiments risks inciting hatred against both Minister Nwike and myself among the Ijaw people. It should be noted by all that Governor Diri and Professor Okaba are both playing mind games on the Ijaw people. Ethnicity has no place in politics. Ijaws are very refined people and very distinguishable in leadership. Take a look at Tompolo, Ateketom, and Asare Dokubo's dynasties. You will find them very sophisticated, refined, and exemplary. They don't speak anyhow. They don't dabble or meddle in politics. They don't merge ethnicity with politics. They don't mix up our culture and our tradition with politics. Those are true Ijaw leaders in every sense of the word leadership. Now, unlike Minister Nwike, Governor Gov Diri has indeed profoundly insulted, dehumanized, and diminished the pride of the Ijaw people and nation. Reports indicate, without any rebuttal, that he knelt down before another man to bid for political support. In the Ijaw nation, the governor of Bayelsa State is traditionally viewed as the governor general, the political leader and a unifying figure for the Ijaw people, economically, politically, and socioculturally. How can a leader who embodies the sovereignty and identity of the Ijaw people kneel down before another man? His actions symbolically brought the entire Ijaw nation to its knees, a severe insult not only to us, but also an affront to someone in his position. Traditionally, we have no singular ruler, meaning Governor Diri also plays a role akin to a king in a just society. By kneeling down before a mortal for personal ambition, he has tarnished the identity, heritage, and my pride has been stripped away. He is unfit to continue to hold the office of Governor General of Ijaw Nation and should resign immediately from office as Governor of Bayelsa State and seek forgiveness from the Ijaw Nation and the Ijaw people. If the Ijaw National Congress, led by Professor Okaba, were fulfilling its duty, it would have long demanded Governor Diri's resignation and an apology for this significant embarrassment. The INC has failed to do what is needed. I therefore call on distinguished leaders within the Ijaw nation to resolutely call for Governor Diri's resignation for prioritizing his personal interest over our collective identity. At that point, when he knelt down before a mortal, a man like him, to seek for a personal favor, he brought the entire Ijaw nation to its knees. What kind of a leader behaves in that manner? He must step aside to enable the Ijaw nation to regain her honor, as he has lost sight of what it means to lead the people of Ijaw nation. Gentlemen, now regarding the recent issues within the People's Democratic Party, PDP family in the South-South zone, which prompted my decision to distance myself from Governor Gov Diri's political circle. I want to emphasize that the root cause of the crisis lies with Governor Diri and not Minister Wike. In fact, Governor Diri is also responsible for the turmoil at the national secretariat of our party concerning the issue of national secretaryship, and not Wike, and I will explain why. As I mentioned earlier, during Governor Diri's second-term elections, he received substantial support from key figures, including President Jonathan, Minister Wike, Minister Lokobri, Senator Dixon, Senator Polka, and Chief David Leon, amongst others, from various political affiliations. For President Jonathan, maintaining political stability in the state was paramount. He believed that a second term for Governor Diri was essential to solidifying this stability and would help institutionalize a harmonious zoning and rotation system for the governorship among the 3 senatorial districts, thereby fostering peaceful coexistence. Although President Tinubu created an environment for free, fair, and transparent elections, his supporters and key lieutenants actively promoted Governor Diri's re-election, resulting even in a state executive council in Bayelsa today comprising of both members of the PDP and the APC as honorable commissioners. Following Diri's second-term inauguration, discussions about his vice presidential aspirations began to surface amongst his inner circle again. I expressed my concerns about this idea, advocating that the South be allowed to complete its 8-year, two-term tenure. Pursuing this ambition will represent a disservice also to President Tinubu, whose supporters had just helped secure Diri's re-election. I opined it would be a return of ingratitude to Mr. President. But unknown to me, my colleagues secretly recorded me and shared the recording with the governor, who became very upset and vowed that I would not receive any appointments or favors from his administration in the second term. True to his word, I was entirely left out while my colleagues' aides were quickly reappointed. I spent nearly a year without any appointment in the second term. But just as I was contemplating distancing myself from the Diri political dynasty, the governor ordered my reappointment. My reappointment letter to be issued, which I ultimately declined. At this time, plans to seize control of the PDP structure from the South-South zone to the national level to pursue his vice presidential ambition were already being finalized. Several meetings took place between February 25th and 28th, 2025 in Yenagwa, Bayelsa State, involving very high-profile figures, particularly from the northern Nigeria. Notably, aside from the meetings of the Governors Forum of South-South and the South-South PDP. The gatherings with senior PDP leaders were kept away from the media's gaze. I can confidently say that it was in Yenagua where the plot to impose Right Honorable S.K.E. Ude Okoye was conceived as National Secretary of the party. Billions of naira were allocated to this plan, with the National Financial Secretary of the party, a Diri ally from Bayelsa State, tasked with lobbying National Working Committee members to support the initiative. Part of the agreed strategy included introducing Ude Okoye to governors across PDP states as the new National Secretary. This was the origin of the recent national secretaryship crisis embroiling the party, PDP. It's crucial for Nigerians to understand that Governor Diri, and not Wike, was behind this crisis. Furthermore, billions in taxpayers' money from Bayelsa State were squandered to support this agenda, covering everything from hiring jets, private jets, for NWC members to their logistics, to fly around the country, meeting governors and introducing Ude Okoye as the new National Secretary of the PDP, including up to legal expenditures. Additionally, I must disclose that the entire effort to impose Okoye as a National Secretary aims to facilitate the inclusion of PDP in a proposed merger and establish a coalition party that will field a northern presidential candidate with Governor Diri as running mate, aiming to challenge President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027. During a recent visit by the PDP National Working Committee to Governor Diri's home in Sampo, where they went to introduce Ude Okoye to him as National Secretary, he explicitly stated his support for the coalition, indicating his involvement in forming a coalition party separate from the PDP to contest against President Tinubu. You are media people, you can go and find out from the NWC members who were in Bayelsa what Governor Diri told them about coalition. I was therefore not surprised when the former head of service in Rivers State mentioned Governor Fubara discussing the emergence of a coalition party, political party, that would feature or field a northern presidential candidate with a vice presidential ticket allocated to the Ijaw people. Governor Diri is about the only prominent Ijaw figure of today capable of pursuing such an ambition, albeit potentially at the cost of Bayelsa State's treasury, development, and well-being. Bayelsans and Ijaw people must know that capital-intensive projects like the new Secretariat building, the sports stadium, and others hurriedly now being embarked upon by the administration seem to be planned to finance this questionable vice presidential quest. Let it be clearly stated that I disassociate myself completely from this misguided ambition, which threatens to undermine the anticipated 8 years of a Southern presidency, an essential step for national unity and political stability of this country. The Southern part of the country deserves the opportunity to complete a full 8 years in leadership, akin to President Muhammad Buhari's 8-year tenure. I earnestly use this medium to urge the political leadership of Northern Nigeria to discourage the move to present a presidential candidate of Northern extraction for the 2027 presidential election. Supporting an uninterrupted 8-year presidency for the South, currently being held on our behalf by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is crucial for the unity and stability of our nation. The Nigerian populace should remain vigilant and informed regarding these developments. Gentlemen of the press, I believe we can all agree that the recent events leading to this press conference now, particularly the unwarranted outburst by Governor Diri, were clearly intended to unjustly pitch me against the people of Bayelsa State and the Ijaw nation at large, placing my life and that of my family in serious jeopardy and security risk. I want to take this moment to express my profound gratitude to the youth of Bayelsa State and indeed the Ijaw nation. Out of respect and regard for my person, they have refrained from any violent actions against me or any of my interests since the controversial video in which, after all, it is appointed for everyone to die once, after which is judgment. Should I die today, I will do so in content, having spoken my truth and championed the cause of unity and political stability in this great nation, which I cherish deeply. Mr. President, sir, President Tinubu, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, if anything were to happen to me because of the truths I have shared here today, the ambitions and schemes I have revealed, and my defense of the South's right to an 8-year uninterrupted presidency, please do take care of my family. I plead that you ensure my wife and children do not suffer or regret my absence. They are everything I live for, and they matter the most as they are priority of my existence. At this point, I have completed my mission on earth. If I live to see tomorrow, it is as it pleases God Almighty. Gentlemen, I thank you, and God bless us all.